He has defeated 8 current Hall of Famers inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. He is the 8th Division World Champion. Please welcome back to the sport of boxing, the legend Manny Pacquiao!
Balahi,
Ingato tangal, human na nga.
I miss boxing. I'm excited for the fans to give a good fight. Boxing is my passion. The way I train, the way I work hard to make sure that I can give a good fight to the fans.
Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao are about to make $100 million each for a fight nobody asked for. And here's the wild part, this isn't even going to be on pay-per-view. Netflix is footing the bill, which tells you everything you need to know about where boxing is headed right now. Both fighters are 50 years old. Their first fight was called one of the most boring championship bouts in history. So why is this happening? Because when you can guarantee 2 legends a 9-figure payday, competitive integrity goes straight out the window. And honestly, after digging into the details, this whole situation is way more calculated than anyone realizes.
He trained hard, he has to defend his belt. I'm a challenger, so I have to make more extra mile to punish myself and able to win the fight. And that's my goal. I'm not underestimating my opponent. I have to make sure that I'm 100% conditioned. I'm still here. Manny Pacquiao.
But here's where things get interesting. Manny Pacquiao is treating this like it's the biggest fight of his career. The guy is back in training camp, doing his traditional stick conditioning, which is basically getting beaten with bamboo sticks to build pain tolerance. At 50 years old, he's putting his body through medieval torture methods while Floyd is hitting pads in his usual calculated fashion. The contrast is insane. Pacquiao wanted a real professional fight, not an exhibition. He pushed for this to be sanctioned as an official bout, because he still believes he has something to prove. Meanwhile, Floyd reportedly wanted this to be another exhibition where he could coast to an easy payday. The fact that Pacquiao got his way tells you how badly both sides wanted this money.
Michael Red! We're not done yet.
Daddy!
Mo na siya. Hindi ta pwede mo kumbes diri anak ka rin. Awan yun. Last 30 seconds.
Now let's talk about what Max Kellerman said, because he accidentally revealed the biggest problem with modern boxing. Kellerman admitted he hopes Floyd makes his money and rides off into the sunset. Think about that for a second. A respected boxing analyst is basically saying he hopes a fighter cashes out rather than compete at the highest level. That's not analysis, that's an obituary. Kellerman called their first fight underwhelming, which is putting it nicely. That 2015 bout was supposed to be the fight of the century, and instead felt like watching 2 accountants argue over tax codes for 12 rounds. But here's the kicker. That boring fight made more money than any combat sports event in history. Floyd took home $200 million, Manny got $100 million, and fans felt completely ripped off.
He wants an exhibition with me, but I disagree, and I want to fight with exhibition with him. I want to fight a real fight like this. So this is it. This is what I'm waiting for.
And get this, the promotion is being handled by a joint effort between Pacquiao Promotions, Mayweather Promotions, and CSI Fight Sports. That's 3 different promotional companies splitting the workload. which means the marketing budget for this thing is going to be absolutely massive. They're targeting September 19th at the Sphere in Las Vegas, which is basically boxing's version of a theme park. The Sphere isn't a traditional boxing venue, it's a technological marvel designed for spectacle over sport. They're not booking this fight at Madison Square Garden or the MGM Grand. They're booking it at what's essentially a giant video game screen with seats around it. That should tell you everything about their priorities.
Of course, boxing is boxing, it's really hard sport. When laziness comes to your body, to your mind, then stop boxing. Forget about boxing. But as long as you dedicated, you have fire, you have you have interest to punish yourself like that, for hard work, you enjoy doing hard work, training like that, discipline, then go for it. Like, continue boxing,
Yeah.
But
if you do that, you'll be successful.
Of course. But something like, comes to your mind, like especially in the middle of like preparation, like let's say 2 months after 1 month training, it's like tired, like lazy.
But wait, it gets worse. Paulie Malignaggi broke down exactly why this fight represents everything wrong with modern boxing. He pointed out that their first fight had championship stakes, real welterweight titles on the line, legacy implications, and the crown of best pound-for-pound fighter in the world up for grabs. This rematch has none of that. There are no titles. There's no ranking implications. There's no competitive significance whatsoever. It's pure nostalgia marketing, banking on fans who either forgot how disappointing the first fight was, or are hoping age has somehow made both fighters more exciting. Malignaggi compared it to Mike Tyson's recent exhibition bouts, which drew massive audiences despite having zero competitive value.
The time comes, come to my mind, my heart, I'm busy, I'm tired. Then forget about boxing. Yeah, right? But as long as you have passion, dedication.
You still have fire, then yeah.
Yes, of course. But look at your body also, because sometimes your mind is active, but your body can.
Mine stopped a long time ago.
So that's why I'm trying. I'm trying to push myself, but stop it. Really.
Here's what nobody's talking about, though. Netflix's involvement changes everything about how this fight gets consumed. Dan Raphael pointed out that Netflix focuses on attention-grabbing events rather than legitimate boxing matches. They proved this with Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, which was essentially a YouTube celebrity beating up a senior citizen for content. That fight broke Netflix's servers because millions of casual fans tuned in expecting entertainment, not sport. Now they're applying the same formula to Mayweather-Pacquiao. No pay-per-view fees, no complicated ordering process, just click play on your existing subscription. This makes the fight accessible to people who would never spend $60 on a boxing match, but will watch for free on a Saturday night.
Only heavy play. Heavy play.
Time.
Here's the time came up. I did that mine go 45 seconds.
Go.
Got it.
Go.
Time.
The financial breakdown is absolutely wild when you think about it. Both fighters are reportedly getting $100 million each. That's $200 million in fighter purses alone, not counting production costs, venue fees, marketing, and Netflix's platform expenses. For context, most championship fights pay the main event fighters a combined total of maybe $20 million. This single exhibition is paying 10 times that amount. And here's the crazy part. It probably makes financial sense for Netflix. They're not just buying a fight, they're buying subscriber retention, global headlines, and proof that they can compete with traditional sports broadcasters for premium content.
Floyd will ever be a stationary target. I think Manny knows that. I don't think Floyd by any means is an easy fighter, like, or an easy opponent. Yeah, don't expect Floyd to be a stationary target. That's not Floyd. Floyd is Floyd. I mean, there's a reason why he's nicknamed the greatest of all time. There's a reason why he's the GOAT. There's a reason why he's 50-0. And you know, and there's a reason. There's a bigger reason why he's agreed to step back in the ring, and that's because Floyd is Floyd. And of course, Manny's Manny, Floyd is Floyd, and Floyd's not just gonna step into something knowing that, you know, Floyd plays to win, as does Manny. So it's gonna be.
But let's get real about what we're actually going to see in the ring. Pacquiao's team is warning everyone that Floyd won't be a stationary target this time. His CEO is basically saying don't expect Floyd to stand and trade punches like some fans are hoping. At 50, Mayweather's defensive timing and ring IQ are probably still elite level, even if his physical tools have diminished. Pacquiao, on the other hand, is still training like he's preparing for a world title fight. The guy claims his brain has never told him he's tired, which explains why he's still competing at an age when most fighters are coaching their grandkids' little league teams. But here's the problem: heart and determination can't overcome father time forever.
Floyd's 49 and Manny's 47.
I mean, the testing, I mean, the medicals and stuff are the same. It's the standard full physical, MRI, MRA, the eye exam, blood, EKG. So very standard, like what it is typically. They're getting insurance, so that's not a problem, right? So that there's no concerns or any issues there. You also have to look at their history, right? Their history is, look at how many fights they've done, look at how they've performed. They've always shown up. They haven't been, you know, they're not flight risks. So we have to go back in the history and look at it. And of course, you see Manny's performance was great.
Yeah, and going back to the first fight, drug testing was a big sticking point for Floyd, right? Is there going to be drug testing for this fight?
Yes.
The medical clearances are apparently all handled. Both fighters have insurance, and there are no health concerns according to their teams. But let's be honest. Two 50-year-old men getting punched in the head for entertainment raises some ethical questions that nobody wants to address. The athletic commissions are signing off on this because the money is too big to ignore, but we're essentially watching two legends risk their long-term health for a payday that neither of them actually needs. Floyd has made over $1 billion in his career. Manny has been a senator in the Philippines and has generational wealth. This isn't about financial necessity. It's about ego and the inability to walk away from the spotlight. Netflix's strategy here is fascinating from a business perspective, but terrifying for boxing's future. They're proving that star power matters more than competitive integrity, that nostalgia sells better than current talent, and that casual viewers will watch familiar names over unknown champions. This fight will probably do bigger numbers than any legitimate title fight this year, which sends a clear message to promoters about what the market actually wants. Why develop young talent when you can recycle old stars? Why build competitive matchups when exhibitions generate more buzz? The success of this event could fundamentally change how boxing gets packaged and sold to mainstream audiences. Here's the part that really gets me, though. Both fighters are acting like this is the most important fight of their lives. Floyd is in training camp, maintaining his usual discipline and precision. Manny is hitting pads with the same speed and power that made him a legend. Their social media teams are posting training footage like they're preparing for war. But everyone involved knows this is performance art, not athletic competition. The training footage, the trash talk, the build-up. It's all manufactured drama designed to sell a product that everyone knows is past its expiration date. The timing of this announcement is no coincidence either. Boxing is in a weird place right now where the biggest stars are either YouTubers or fighters well past their prime. The current crop of champions, guys like Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, Ryan Garcia, they can't generate mainstream attention like Mayweather and Pacquiao still can. So instead of investing in building new stars, the industry keeps going back to the well with legends who should have retired years ago. It's like watching a greatest hits concert where the band can barely remember the lyrics, but the tickets still sell because people want to relive their youth.
Anyway, and if he is, that he makes all the money in the world for a Pacquiao fight and rides off into the sunset a rich man, I wish him the best.
I want to fight somebody. I don't care about the money and all that. I don't, you know,
Who you want him to fight?
That's not good with
I don't
Pacquiao.
wanna fight.
Pacquiao just drew with Barrios.
Yeah, and you see what he look like?
Yeah, because they're not on that level
I don't
anymore.
wanna- I
What
don't
do you
wanna
think's
see-
gonna happen here, though? What do we think's gonna happen in Mayweather Pacquiao? Are you interested in it?
Yep.
Is it a good fight?
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah, me
watching.
too.
Watch it.
No,
The first one was awful, but now they're
Yeah.
50 years old. Let's see it.
But why though? But you didn't like the first time they
No, I
fought.
didn't.
I'm not gonna watch the
You
second
didn't
one.
like that match?
No, the first
Oh
fight.
yeah.
I forgot. Of course
So
you did,
when they
'cause
wasn't
Floyd made it look
grandpas,
easy. I know you
when they
didn't
wasn't
like that.
grandpas,
By the way,
y'all like it.
that fight went more or less how I thought it would go. I
cool.
always thought it would go that
But
way.
you-
I didn't like the fact that it
Who's
was
your
a diminished
favorite fighter, Pacquiao or Floyd? Come on,
My
we know it's Pacquiao.
favorite?
I'm a
No,
Pacquiao
I
fan.
don't
I'm
know.
a Pacquiao fan.
Actually, Floyd. Watching Floyd fight is actually more my style of that perfect boxer.
That's what
when
I
I
would-
do a pound for pound ranking, I'm trying to be objective. Pacquiao jumped more weight classes. What he did pound for pound to me was more impressive.
But you have him over Floyd in
But
the
I
pound for pound
never thought Pacquiao was going to beat Floyd ever.
But
never thought it
Pacquiao,
was
he's one of
gonna
my favorite fighters.
Who?
Floyd and Pacquiao, they're one of my favorite
Yeah.
fighters. But I still want
Floyd's
to
the
see
longer, bigger, better defensive fighter.
Right.
You know,
But let's be real. What this is all about, business. This is going to be a mega event. Doesn't matter how old they are. There's the two biggest names in boxing today.
So here we are, watching two of the greatest fighters of all time prepare for a fight that exists solely because Netflix has money to burn and fans have short memories. The first Mayweather-Pacquiao fight taught us that hype doesn't guarantee entertainment, that the biggest events can be the most disappointing, and that sometimes the anticipation is better than the actual product. But apparently we didn't learn that lesson, because here we are again, ready to throw money at the same two guys hoping for a different result. This isn't about boxing anymore, it's about nostalgia, spectacle, and the uncomfortable reality that sometimes the biggest fights are the least meaningful ones. So here's my question for you. Are you actually excited to watch two 50-year-old legends potentially embarrass themselves for 9 figures? Or are you just curious to see how bad it might be? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button if this breakdown opened your eyes to what's really happening here. And subscribe because the deeper you dig into modern boxing, the weirder it gets. I'll see you in the next one.
That was also a cash grab, but really, that one was also a little bit too late, and really they didn't really fight with that passion and fire. It was more like, I'll dance, you dance, and if nobody gets hurt, we both win, And that's not really what fans want to see. Having said that, the first time around was for the championship of the world. Floyd was champion. Pacquiao was challenging him. I think Floyd had the WBC title at the time, so on and so forth. And you know what I say about. And at the time, it was still a fight that was viable within the whole world landscape of the welterweight division. This time around, it's not really a viable fight within the landscape of the welterweight division. But it's like I always complain about Canelo. As long as you don't take the belts with you and hold them hostage, and the sanctioning bodies allow you to hold them hostage, I don't mind guys doing this kind of thing. Let's face it. Is it the only time we've seen this? We've seen this time and again. I mean, Leonard did the third fight with Duran and Hearns in 1989.
And speaking of how weird modern boxing has gotten, let's talk about what this fight means for the younger generation of fighters who are watching their potential paydays get handed to guys who haven't been relevant in a decade. Imagine you're Gervonta Davis or Devin Haney, grinding your way up the rankings, putting on legitimate wars against top competition, and then you see Floyd and Manny getting $100 million each for what's essentially a glorified sparring session. The message being sent to active fighters is crystal clear. Your prime years, your championship runs, your actual athletic achievements, none of that matters as much as having a recognizable name from 15 years ago.
Few will ignore.
So I mean, the rematch with Hearns and the third fight with Duran. So I think those sold pretty well, pretty good as well. People got into it. Were they kind of duds? Yeah. I mean, the third Duran and Larin fight at the Mirage, people kind of are probably more forgetful about it. But regardless, the nostalgia aspect of it, like the champ said, is going to attract people. It's gonna make people curious. There's also the aspect of it where the new fan base is always curious about the old-time fighters, which is why Tyson always gets views even today, because people are always curious about the Mike Tyson mystique, the Mike Tyson effect. So people that weren't able to be alive and wake up the morning of a Mike Tyson fight to know what that feels like, want to feel that today. I promise you, it's nothing like it was in 1989 with Tyson, no matter what you guys want to feel. But regardless, I think people get curious about that. And I think this is going to be sort of the same.
The psychological impact on current champions has to be devastating. Ryan Garcia just went through a career-defining victory over Devin Haney, delivered one of the most shocking performances in recent memory, and his total purse was probably less than what Floyd spends on jewelry for this fight camp. Tank Davis is knocking people unconscious in spectacular fashion, building a legitimate following, and he'll never see the kind of money that Pacquiao is getting for showing up at half speed. This creates a perverse incentive structure where fighters start focusing more on building their brand than improving their skills, because apparently longevity and name recognition pay better than being the best fighter in the world.
Floyd in an exhibition bout, also probably in April, but in a different location, and it sets them up on the same time schedule where if they're going to do a rematch, September 19th at the Sphere in Las Vegas. The fact that Netflix is doing it is not surprising at all. That's always been what they've been talking about doing. I think both fighters and everybody involved understands that it's one thing when everybody wanted to see the fight in 2015, he put it on pay-per-view and it's going to be a blockbuster, which it was. They charged $100 for the pay-per-view, the biggest price ever for a pay-per-view. And it set every conceivable record that you could think of in terms of gate, boxing, pay-per-view buys, overall revenue, the sponsorships, the merchandise. You pick a metric and it broke the record. That would not be the case now, 11 years down the road, since they first fought in 2015. So they needed somebody to put up big money, and it really fits the profile of what Netflix is trying to do.
Here's what really blows my mind about Netflix's involvement. They're essentially admitting that traditional sports broadcasting is dead. ESPN pays billions for NFL rights, Fox shells out massive money for FIFA World Cup coverage, and these networks justify those expenses because live sports are supposedly DVR-proof content that guarantees eyeballs. But Netflix just said, forget all that. We're going to create our own sports content using retired athletes and manufactured storylines. They're not competing with ESPN for current boxing rights. They're creating an entirely new category of sports entertainment that exists somewhere between reality TV and actual competition.
Iconic names.
They want to do big events, and whatever you want to say about it, maybe not for guys like me or you who are involved in doing boxing related stuff on a daily basis, but for the regular person that's scrolling through Netflix to see what's on a weekend night, they're going to look and say, oh, Mayweather, Pacquiao, I know those guys. They're as famous as any boxers in the world. And if it doesn't cost me any extra money and I'm just paying my normal subscription, yeah, I'll check it out. And it's going to do big numbers. That's why Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson did the numbers it did. And that's why, we saw them be interested in a fight like Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua and the other events that they have done. Tyson Fury's comeback as they try to, build up more in the UK. And this is going to be the same situation. They put out a lot of money to do the fight, but not as much as what obviously they generated in 2015. And, it will be, it'll be a big event, but how much of a fight it will be, who the heck knows? But I mean, to answer the question, I'm not looking forward to it, but.
The production value for this fight is going to be unlike anything we've seen in combat sports. The Sphere isn't just a venue. It's basically a 360-degree movie theater that happens to have a boxing ring in the middle. They can project anything they want on those massive screens, fighter entrances that look like science fiction movies, real-time statistics that surround the audience, instant replays that make you feel like you're inside the action. But here's the problem with all that technology. It's designed to distract from what's happening in the ring, not enhance it. When the actual fight is boring, you need bells and whistles to keep people engaged. Madison Square Garden doesn't need fancy screens because the boxing speaks for itself. The Sphere needs all that technology because the boxing probably won't.
Say it's just they're both getting $100 million. If you're presented with a $100 million bag, okay, and you're still good physically, all right, and can still fight, and you feel good, you ain't turning down that bag, bro. You're not. You're gonna say yes to it. All you guys that are shitting on it, okay, let's just be real for a second. No cap. We're all taking this fight. We're all taking it. You can't blame them to take it. We're all taking it, all right? So I hear both arguments, but it is what it is, right? They're going to take it regardless. They're prize fighters. They fight for prize. Duh. As Floyd famously said in that 24/7 build-up against Shane Mosley. And they're going to do what they're going to do. Now, in terms of why this fight is happening, honestly, I don't know. I don't know why this fight.
And let's be real about the international implications here. Manny Pacquiao is still a massive star in the Philippines, where boxing is basically a religion, and Pacquiao is the Pope. Filipino fans are going to wake up at 3 a.m. to watch this fight regardless of competitive value, because Manny represents something bigger than sports in that culture. Floyd still moves the needle in urban markets across America, where his flashy lifestyle and undefeated record maintain legendary status. Netflix isn't just buying a fight. They're buying access to specific demographics that traditional boxing promoters struggle to reach. This is global marketing disguised as a sporting event.
Has said that they, want to put on big, huge events. If you were to grade the type of events they've put on in terms of how serious they are, and when I say serious, I mean like real fights, okay? Like real fights with implications in boxing. You'd have to give them like a C. Honestly, like, look at the fights they've put on, okay? And if there's any criticism, albeit constructive criticism, towards Netflix, is I feel that they should step up the type of fights they're putting on their platform, because there could be a lot of blowback. There was a huge amount of blowback the first Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, okay? You had all this attention. Literally, the whole sports world and a big part of the world was tuned in to this fight, and the fight was boring. Put people to sleep.
The medical side of this equation gets more disturbing the more you think about it. Both fighters are claiming they're in the best shape of their lives, but Father Time is undefeated for a reason. Reflexes slow down, punch resistance decreases, and recovery time increases whether you admit it or not. The human brain wasn't designed to absorb punishment for 5 decades, and we're essentially watching two legends play Russian roulette with their long-term cognitive health for entertainment value. The athletic commissions that approve these fights are putting liability waivers ahead of fighter safety, because the money involved makes everyone look the other way. But here's where the story gets even more complicated. Both fighters are using this as a platform for their post-boxing careers. Floyd has been positioning himself as a boxing mentor and business mogul, using these exhibition fights to stay relevant while building his promotional empire. Manny is still involved in Philippine politics and needs to maintain his public profile to remain influential in government. This isn't just about making money from boxing. It's about leveraging boxing fame for completely different industries. The fight becomes a marketing expense for their other business ventures, which explains why they're willing to risk their reputations for what everyone knows will be a subpar product. Netflix's subscriber data is going to be fascinating to analyze after this event. They'll be able to track exactly who watches, how long they stay engaged, which markets show the most interest, and whether this type of content actually retains subscribers long-term. Traditional pay-per-view gives you buy rates and revenue numbers, but Netflix gets behavioral data that's infinitely more valuable for content strategy. They'll know if people watch the whole fight or turn it off after 6 rounds. They'll know if casual fans stick around for boxing documentaries afterward. They'll know if this experiment is worth repeating with other retired athletes. The trash talk and promotional build-up for this fight is going to be particularly interesting because both guys are trying to recreate magic that happened when they were in their 30s. Floyd's calculated arrogance doesn't hit the same way when you're 50 and haven't fought a legitimate opponent in years. Manny's humble warrior persona feels forced when everyone knows this is a cash grab disguised as competition. They're both going through the motions of promoting a fight they know doesn't matter, trying to convince fans who remember when their rivalry actually meant something. It's like watching actors perform a play they've already done too many times. The undercard for this event is probably going to be more competitive than the main event, which creates this weird dynamic where the most important fight is the least interesting one. Netflix will probably stack the preliminary bouts with hungry young fighters who are actually trying to advance their careers, creating better action than the headliners can deliver. But nobody's going to remember those fights because all the marketing focus is on the nostalgia act. This is how boxing eats its own future, by putting all the promotional resources behind fighters who represent the past, instead of investing in the talent that represents the sport's tomorrow. Speaking of the future, this fight sets a dangerous precedent for how combat sports get monetized. If Netflix proves that retired legends can generate more engagement than active champions, every streaming platform is going to start hunting for their own version of this formula. Amazon Prime might try to get Oscar de la Hoya back in the ring. Disney Plus could go after Sugar Ray Leonard for a comeback fight. Hulu might convince Mike Tyson to do another exhibition. We could be looking at a future where streaming services are competing to see who can get the most washed-up former champions to embarrass themselves for content. Betting markets for this fight are going to be absolutely wild, because nobody knows what to expect from two 50-year-old fighters who haven't been in a real fight in years. How do you handicap ring rust, age-related decline, and the motivation level of guys who are already guaranteed 9-figure paydays regardless of performance? Professional handicappers are probably pulling their hair out trying to set accurate odds for an event that exists outside the normal parameters of competitive sports. The smart money might be on the under for total punches thrown, because neither fighter has any incentive to take unnecessary risks. And here's the part that really bothers me about this whole situation: boxing has legitimate stars right now who could use this level of promotional support. Terrence Crawford just unified the welterweight division in spectacular fashion. Errol Spence is still one of the most skilled fighters in the sport despite his recent loss. Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis could probably sell out any arena in America if they got the marketing push that Netflix is giving to two retired fighters. Instead of building the future of boxing, we're recycling the past because it's easier to sell nostalgia than to create new stars. The international broadcast rights for this fight are probably worth more than most fighters make in their entire careers. Netflix's global reach means this event gets distributed to over 200 countries simultaneously, with localized marketing campaigns and commentary teams in multiple languages. Traditional boxing promoters could never achieve that kind of worldwide saturation because they're limited by regional broadcast partnerships and time zone considerations. Netflix just drops the content at the same time everywhere and lets their algorithm handle the rest. It's a completely different business model that makes individual fight promotion almost obsolete. So here's what I think is really happening. We're witnessing the death of traditional boxing promotion and the birth of something entirely different. This isn't about Floyd and Manny proving they're still elite fighters. This isn't about settling an old score or determining who's better. This is about Netflix proving they can manufacture sports content that generates more buzz than actual sports, using familiar faces to launch a completely new entertainment category. The fight is just the delivery mechanism for a much larger experiment in how we consume athletic competition in the streaming age. The scariest part is that it's probably going to work. Millions of people will watch this fight, social media will explode with highlights and reactions, and Netflix will declare victory regardless of what happens in those 12 rounds. The success metrics aren't about competitive integrity or athletic achievement. They're about engagement, subscriber growth, and cultural impact. And by those standards, this fight has already succeeded before the first punch gets thrown. So get ready for a future where your favorite fighters have to compete with ghosts from boxing's past for attention, money, and respect. Because apparently in modern boxing, being legendary 15 years ago pays better than being great right now.